Welcome to the Explainer. Ever wonder how massive companies deal with all their messy, scattered data? Well, today we're going to break down one of the most critical processes in data management, the journey from total chaos to a single, trusted, golden record. So, here's a problem you've probably seen a million times. Sales has one address for a customer, finance has another, and billing, they've got a completely different email. It's organized chaos, right? To really get how to fix this, let's follow the data trail for just one customer. We'll call him John Smith.
Okay, so check this out. In this company, John Smith basically lives in three different worlds. Your CRM for sales has one customer ID and address. The ERP for finance, totally different ID, and it's got a PO box. And the billing system, of course, has yet another account number and a slightly different email. As you can see, there is no single source of truth here.
This is exactly where Master Data Management, or MDM, steps in. The best way to think about it is like a data detective agency. Its only job is to investigate all these conflicting reports, connect the clues, and build one single unified case file that reveals the true profile of John Smith. Now, this whole investigation doesn't just happen by magic. It all starts with a very careful, methodical process called source system onboarding. This really builds the foundation for everything else that's going to happen. So first things first, the data from each system, our CRM, our ERP, and billing, it all gets analyzed for quality. Then it's brought into what's called a landing area, moved over to staging tables for some initial cleanup, and finally, it's loaded into a big central MDM table called the base object. Okay, and this is super important. Even though all the data is now technically in one place, nothing has actually been combined yet. Inside the MDM hub, our friend John Smith still exists as three separate records. We've gathered all the witnesses, you could say, but we still need to connect their stories. So how does MDM even begin to connect these dots? Well, the secret, the absolute backbone of the entire system, is in this one special table. It's called the XREF, which stands for Cross-Reference Table. This is our detective's master index. For every single piece of data from every source, the XREF table creates a little entry that links that system's original ID back to a new internal MDM identifier. What's really cool here is just how simple but powerful this thing is. You've got the internal MDM ID, that's the ROWID object. You've got the name of the source system, like CRM or ERP. And most importantly, you have the original key from that source. It's basically the perfect map to trace any piece of data right back to where it came from. And this mapping is absolutely vital. What it does is, it guarantees you never lose the original ID from the source system. This preserves the data's lineage, which allows for a complete audit trail. It even makes it possible to unmerge records if you ever make a mistake. It's the ultimate safety net for data governance. All right, so with our master index in place, it is finally time for the main event, the climax of our investigation. We're going to compare the evidence, match the records, and create the one true golden record. This is where the system starts to work its magic. It runs a series of powerful match rules. Some of these are exact rules, like match on social security number. Others are fuzzy rules that look for close similarities. So a rule might say something like, hey, if the first name, last name, and date of birth are a 90% match, these records are probably the same person. So let's look at our XREF table before the matching runs. As you can see, each of our three John Smith records has its own unique MDM identifier. We've got 1001, 2002, and 3003. Right now, the system still sees them as three totally separate people. And boom, this right here is the aha moment. After the match rules figure out these three records are the same person, a merge happens. Now look at the XREF table. All three of those original source records are now pointing to a single unified MDM identifier, row ID _1001. We've officially linked them. But wait a second, we still have conflicting data, right? The CRM says the address is 123 Main Street, but the ERP says it's a PO box. So which one is correct? This is where the next set of rules, called survivorship rules, come into play. Survivorship is where the business logic really gets to shine. You can create these rules for every single piece of data. For instance, you might decide that the system that was most recently updated probably has the best email. For the address, you could declare the CRM as your single trusted source. And for the phone number, maybe you just take the value from whichever system isn't blank. And what do you get at the end of all this? By applying these rules, the MDM system intelligently builds the final profile, the golden record.
It is one clean, consistent, and reliable view of John Smith, pieced together from the best available data you have across the entire organization.
Now, this all sounds great, but let's be real. Building this kind of system is a complex project, and it's not always easy. So let's quickly touch on some of the most common traps that teams fall into in the real world. So what's one of the biggest and frankly most ironic failures of an MDM project? It's when the system itself starts creating duplicates, multiple golden records for the same person, which defeats the entire purpose of doing this in the first place. This almost always happens when your match rules are just too weak or they're poorly configured. If the rules aren't smart enough to see that John Smith with no H is the same person as John Smith, you're going to get duplicates. The only fix is to constantly refine those rules and really lean on more unique identifiers like email or phone numbers. Okay, another huge risk is getting the survivorship rules wrong. This is a nightmare scenario where your MDM system actually makes your data worse by letting info from a less reliable source overwrite clean data from a trusted one. This is purely a configuration problem. It happens when you don't properly rank your source systems or define the survivorship logic clearly. The solution? You absolutely have to work directly with your business teams to get their official sign-off on which sources they trust most for every single piece of data. So let's wrap this all up. What are the key things you need to walk away with? 1. Onboarding is how you bring the data in. 2. The XREF table is the backbone that preserves that original source identity. 3. The golden record is the end result of matching, merging, and survivorship. And 4, a poorly designed system is just going to create more chaos and destroy trust. And that is how MDM methodically transforms data chaos into a single, reliable source of truth. It's an incredibly powerful process, but it does leave us with one final critical question. You see, creating the golden record is one thing, but how do you make sure it stays golden over time? Well, that's a story about ongoing data governance and stewardship for another day.